It is. We're back at it again for the start
Absolutely.
of another work
Yeah,
week.
and yeah, that's true because I mean, some people start their week on Monday, some people start their week on Sunday. It just all depends on how you think about the calendar. It's burned in my brain that the calendar starts on Sunday because the calendar has looked like that all my entire life. So
Yeah,
ones that start on Monday make me go, I don't know what to do with myself.
you and me both.
Okay, good. I'm glad to know that it's not just me. So before we get started today, let's say to people who might be on with us today, hey, if you are watching us live, please let us know you're here. Give us your name, where you're from. Hey, glad you're with us, whatever. And if there's anything we say that you'd like to chime in on, we would love to have you type in the chat and we will respond to whatever you're telling us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always to me, one of the most fun things is when we get participation from others.
I agree completely with that. I would much rather that we're interacting with the people who are watching the live stream, and because then we know we're hitting the mark on talking about what people really want to know. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have an opinion, we have life experiences, we have some expertise we bring to the table, but when we are talking to the people who are actually watching and responding to us, it makes it doubly real. Let's phrase it that way. So, today we are talking about who has your back as your business grows. Because, man, when you're out there and you have started this business and you're beyond the startup phase and now you're in the growth phase and you're still spinning plates, but hopefully you have some people working with you. Not hopefully, you have some people working with you. One of the things you have to learn at that point is how to delegate and hand it off to people, communicating effectively what it is you need them to do and giving them enough information so that they can understand where you're going so that they can help you get there by taking things off your plate so that you can focus on those things that you're best at. Now, you might not only be doing those at this point, but you're moving more in that direction. And the goal is to continue in that direction as the business continues to grow. Excuse me. But what's really important is you need to find people who can speak into you about where you are in your business growth. And we all need to have other people come alongside us to support us in the parts of our business where we're not strong. And sometimes even where we are strong. Because one of the things, as I was thinking about this, Jeff, is that we need to know who our key advisors are. And we need to practice good judgment in who our supporters are. We may need to vet those people and make sure, because, there's a whole lot of people who have an opinion and would like to tell you what you should do.
Yeah.
That may or may not be a good thing. You
Yeah.
may want to listen to them. You may not want to listen to them. It depends on what that person's expertise is and whether they number one, understand our business and understand our stage of business. I think we talked about this last week.
We
Correct
did.
me if I'm wrong.
Just
Yeah.
a little bit.
Because, like I could go down this road and drive a truck. We talked about the fact that somebody who is a corporate expert on something most likely is not an expert on doing this in a small business. The idea of a Main Street business or a growing small business, a micro business, it's just not where they've been. It's not in their wheelhouse. And that doesn't mean they don't have some understanding of it, but the application looks different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
sometimes it's, understanding even what that application looks like in those different scenarios, depending upon the growth stage of the business, where the business owner is, where the team is, that can even be different business to business in kind of this Main Street USA business, right?
Yeah.
A lot of nuances there in terms of who do you engage and when and how and what's the best way.
Yeah. So very true. And and along with all that we just said now, I was just thinking about I know you have training. So I'm just gonna kind of go down a road one that I didn't anticipate going down, but you're trained in, I'm not sure if it's Six Sigma, but it's one of those process oriented. That's one of the many things you're trained in from the standpoint of processes and systems, right? And
Yeah.
you learn that in a corporate um, setting. The context where you learned that was in a corporate setting. I remember you talking about this, I think it was last week, that what you learned there, the way you apply it now looks different than how you learn to apply it in the corporate setting.
Yeah, there are some nuances and differences to that, certainly. We talked about that, right? Like larger organizations tend to have more resources,
Obviously.
right? Uh,
Yeah.
and those types of projects can look very different in a larger organization that has a lot of people and a lot of people that are involved in the process versus a mid-size versus a small kind of mom and pop type business. All of those things apply, but and the tools and the thought process can apply, but how they apply and how you work within each one of those organizations is going to look very differently, you
Yeah.
know, project to project, client to client, based on where they're at, right? If you're working with a business that has 5 people, that's going to look very different than a business that has several hundred or several thousand.
Obviously.
Yep.
Because number one, there's just the manpower. Is person power a word? We'll just call it manpower. Just the manpower to get it done, along with, by the way, getting products shipped out the door. To keep all those things going looks so different when you're in an enterprise business, a small business, or a mom and pop business, or Main Street business, whatever we want to call it. And we have to account for that. However, in every one of those situations, I just have to get this one in here because I'm seeing it play out in so many different parts of my life that I just have to say it. Even our best ideas can be refined and improved by sharing them with our key advisors who can see different angles than we can. I don't care what amazing idea you have. You need to get feedback. Now you got to use good judgment. Again, good judgment.
That seems to be a theme.
Yeah,
Part
good
of it.
judgment.
Good judgment.
Who has your back as a business owner? Use good judgment.
Yes, that
But
is item number one.
yeah, item number one, use good judgment on your key advisors or with your key advisors. But allow those key advisors to help you improve and shape the idea you have to make it the best it can possibly be.
Yeah.
Because the last place you want to have to make that change, granted, you're going to always have to make some changes once it's in the marketplace because this is reality. But when you have an idea and you are going to take it to market, you really need input from people other than yourself. You do not have the corner on all the good ideas.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody tells you.
I even say, how many times you've had a good idea in the past, and when you talk to others and bring them into the fold to have the discussion, I've always found that the output of that tends to be better than where
Oh my gosh, yes.
Even if you think you've got the best thing ever, right? The more discussion and things that you have, you kind of further refine that down, whether it's to your point, a market, a product, a niche, whatnot.
Mhm.
The more people that you talk to, they give you those different perspectives, and you tend to end up in a much better place than where you started.
Yes, absolutely. You end up with a much more robust product idea than what you started out with.
Yeah.
You still had the original idea, but those additions or tweaks that people helped you make to it are going to make it so much better
Yeah.
for the customer.
Yeah. And
And
that's,
maybe not even just for the customer, but on the back end, that somebody says, I'm thinking in your world right now, Jeff. There may be some process or system idea that you didn't even remotely think about, but somebody whose strength is in that area sees that so much more easily than you can and understands it more easily than you can.
yeah.
For Pete's sake, listen to them.
Yeah.
How do you really feel about it, Rhonda?
Yeah. That is so true. And just that advisor group that you can use your good judgment with and have those open and frank discussions on, whether it's new product, things that are going on in the business, but people that really have your back at the end of the day, and
Yeah,
sure that
absolutely.
you're firing on all cylinders and you're making good decisions for your business to continue to move it forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And those key advisors could be a consultant, they could be a coach, they could be people that are in a community with you. That community could be called a whole boatload of things. It could be called a mastermind, a roundtable, a cohort, a hub.
Yeah.
It could be called a hub. Um, but those people can also, and a couple other ways to think about them is um, I have friends that refer to having a biz bestie. I don't think that's just a woman thing. I don't know. But
I've not heard of that before.
well, so maybe it is maybe it's just the circles I run in from that standpoint. But people talk about having a biz bestie or a couple biz besties who are the people that you can take that idea to. They're not carbon copies of you. They see things from a different perspective and they will speak into you. Another way to phrase it is calling is what my gosh, I'm totally drawing a blank. The Power of the Other is written by Dr. Henry Cloud, and he refers to corner for leaders or corner for connections. They're people that celebrate your wins. Of course, you want somebody that's going to celebrate your wins with you, for Pete's sake. And then they also tell you the truth when you're going off track. I think we should really take this to Bermuda. People in Bermuda would really like this. I don't know what the heck the Bermuda thing is, but it's warm there, Jeff. I'm telling you.
I know, and it's probably because we've had snow this weekend, and this morning it was snowing here. So, yeah, I'm
We're whining. We're
warm.
not whining.
I usually go further south though than Bermuda,
Okay.
like
Well,
Caribbean.
okay, fine. We're going to the Caribbean with
Or-
whatever this product is. Does that make sense? And your corner for connections are going to say to you, rein it back in. I know you might want to go to the Caribbean, but go there on a cruise for Pete's sake. Do not think you're going to move your business down there.
Yeah,
Not today. You're not ready for that yet. You are not ready for prime time on that one. So they will tell you the truth when you're going off track.
yeah,
Not that either one of us has ever had to tell the other one that, have we?
no,
No.
never. It's one of those. Yeah, making and manufacturing and selling sleds probably isn't a good idea in the Caribbean.
No. Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely not.
Rhonda, you could change that business model and manufacture beach chairs.
Now that is the thought. We could make some really cool beach chairs that have flamingos on them.
There you go.
Yeah. Don't get me started. Um, these people will be there for you no matter what. Because even if they think your idea is like, you have gone off the deep end, they're still going to be there with you. They're going to tell you kindly, hopefully, what they see, but they're still going to be there for you. They're in your corner. Okay. And another really critical thing that people do under those circumstances, these people that have your back as your business grows, they connect you to their connections.
Yeah.
That's so important. That is so critical because as our business grows, we need different people that we might not have needed earlier in the process. So, where do we find those people? Well, the best way is to find them through a recommendation from somebody we know, like, and trust already. Then you're going to find the right people, especially if these are the people that are already in your corner in your key advisory and they understand your business to begin with. They're not going to send you to somebody that's not a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
That's,
So go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that's so important about having and building that for yourselves in your business, to have that, because as things grow, things that maybe weren't challenges before can become challenges, because at each one of those stages of growth there's a new set of challenges and things
Yes.
can rear its ugly head, that you need those people in your, that four corner to kind of talk to you about what's going on in the business, and what looks good and what might look different, or maybe it's not a great idea right now to expand into another market and here's why, or
Right.
just to have that dialogue, I think is so important.
Yeah. And have that safe place to have the dialogue, to be
Yeah.
able to bring that challenge to that group of people and say, here's what I'm facing. Tell me what, have you experienced this? The other thing that these people that have your back can do is help you see when you're at a transition point. Are you at that inflection point? Maybe they can recognize it more easily than you can because you're in the middle of this forest of your business. They're not in the middle of it. They're
Yeah.
looking from the outside. Their view is so different that they can see, hey, you know what? What I'm seeing is that you're coming up on something that's different. The business is growing to the point where in this situation, you're going to need something different than what you got right now.
Yeah.
And you may be so busy spinning the plates in the moment, you can't see that. And that doesn't make you bad. It just makes you in the weeds.
Yeah. And it's hard to get out of that
Yeah,
sometimes.
it
You're in,
really is. That's
that
true.
niche of being in the weeds. It's hard to come up and see above kind of the day to day and what's going on day to day in the business, and maybe some bigger things that are going on that could have a much bigger positive or negative impact to your business, and not be able to come up high enough to see that.
You know, that's one of the really big, I'm kind of going off topic here, but what you said really triggered a thought for me. One of the incredible values of being part of a community where you meet regularly with these people, whether you're getting training, whether somebody, there's speakers, the fact that you build those relationships and step away from the day to day on a regular basis, whether that's for half a day, whether that's for a full day, whether it's a power lunch, that's not really the point. The point is you get away and have and to be honest with you, less than half a day, I'm not sure it's going to really pull you back far enough to see. But having that automatically in your calendar that regularly you're not going to be in the day to day of the business can help you see so much more clearly. It
Yeah.
might save your bacon.
Yeah. It can make a world of difference
Yeah.
when you take that time to come out of the day and just look at things from a new perspective or a more broad perspective or
Right.
however you want to put that.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Sometimes we call that getting on the balcony, but you so many times getting on the balcony can go by the wayside because there's always something burning. Oh, I got to fix this. This is urgent. I got to address this.
It
And then,
reminds me of the mob movies.
I'm sorry,
It reminds me of the mob movies. You know,
say
the mob
more.
movies. I tried to get out and they keep pulling me back in. Yeah, it's more like the day to day of your business, right? It's you try to get out from the day to day and it just keeps pulling you back in. I forget which, is that in Scarface? I forget which mob movie that was in. Um, now, but it just struck me when you were talking about getting out and things pulling you back in. It's it's like that mafia movie, and now it's going to drive me nuts on which movie that was that I saw that in years and years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we have that automatically scheduled because we know we're meeting with our peeps, we're meeting with our key advisors, this trusted group where not only are they speaking into us, but we have the opportunity to speak into them, it makes a world of difference
Yeah,
because we need that ability to gain perspective.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, see, I got sidetracked. The Godfather Part 3 is where that came out.
Thank goodness we know the answer to that question. This
I
is
just
why I didn't recognize it. I've never seen The Godfather Part 3.
yeah, this
I'll
is
put it on my list.
add it to your list. This is why I thought I've got to Google this because I can't leave this hanging. It's going to bother me all day. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep, that is that. So get out
So,
of the day to day.
yeah, exactly. So I had a situation just recently with with somebody needing others to speak into them because they were a really task oriented person and there were a lot of tasks on their plate, which, just for the record, every single business owner fits that criteria. There
Yep.
are a lot of tasks on their plate every single day. And some of those tasks are things they have to do, and some of those tasks are things they need to delegate and oversee and what have you. Nonetheless, this person was getting ahead of herself on some research that needed to be shared because she wanted to check the box on that part of the project. Task oriented, check the box. The only problem with that was there were implications to this that she couldn't see. First of all, there wasn't going to be time to digest the results before sharing them beyond the core team the way that she wanted to just push it out there, because if I push it out there, I can check it off.
Yep.
And checking it off feels really good. I like checking things off, just for the record.
Me too.
However, that's not what we should always be doing. Yeah. And then there could be misinterpretation, which would lead to distractions and unnecessary stress on the organization. I mean, think about that. So this huge research dump goes out to everybody without a context to put it into and a set of priorities to filter it through. Oh my gosh. That's just a nightmare waiting to happen. Which that leads also then to a lack of cohesion on where the company needs to go. Because the task oriented people go off on a tangent that may distract from the most important strategic focus that comes out of the research, because they see this little thing over here that they're like, oh, this is really important and I really want to do this and I can do this and oh, then I can check my box. And box checking is apparently addictive because we all want to do it.
Yep. So here's a question on box checking. Do you make
Okay.
a little box on your to-dos and then do you just cross the whole item out or do you put a neat little checkbox in the box? Because I make the boxes, but I cross the entire line out when it's done.
That's really funny, Jeff. The answer to the question is I don't make a box. I just put a check mark next to it. Every once in a while, I'll totally cross something out, but I don't usually cross the whole thing out. So tell me about why you like to line through the whole thing.
I don't really know. I mean, sometimes I'll make the box and I'll put a check mark in, but it doesn't stand out as much. So then I just cross the whole thing. So I
Mm,
clearly see that that item's gone.
that's really interesting. So my question to you on that would be, but how do you read what the task was then that you got accomplished?
Well, once it's done, I don't care. And on to the next thing. I mean, just being really honest, like once that's done, it's out of sight,
Okay.
out of mind, it's done. Like, don't need to know what it was
Because it's done and I'm moving on to the next thing.
because I've already moved on to the next three things.
Okay. All right. That's a really interesting question. And I'm wondering, because so here's apparently a difference between the two of us. Because while I might line through something occasionally, that's a rare thing. I mean, when I think about what my planner looks like, because I have to have my hybrid model where I write it down in my full focus planner that I don't fully use the full focus planner, but I also have my Asana where I check things off in that too. But when I check things off in my physical written planner, I don't cross through it because I want to know what I've gotten accomplished. That's really weird. Now I got to think about that.
Yeah, see? Now, things that make you go, think about that for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
press it off, and it's gone. It's out of sight, out of mind, and I've moved on.
Well, and there's something to be said for that because, quite frankly, ruminating on things that you're already finished with, what is the point of that?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So, thinking about the who has your back as the business grows, knowing who the people are that are important, that are your key advisors, your biz besties, your corner four connections, making sure that you got the right people in those places.
Yeah.
And the right people for the stage of business you're in. That's important. And then making sure you're connecting with them on a regular basis. Now, some people connect with those people on a weekly basis. Sometimes it's a monthly basis. You got to know what works for you and your business. And whether you meet with them in person or whether you meet with them on Zoom
Yeah.
or Microsoft Teams, as the case may be. Nonetheless, knowing you're going to connect with your key advisors on a regular basis helps you stay focused and in tune and getting the feedback you need to stay on the path.
Yeah. Makes all the difference in the world and stay
Agreed.
on path.
Yeah, because there are things you need to get accomplished in the stage of business you're in.
Yeah.
And in order to get those accomplished and move on to the next level, you can't get off track, which I believe we're going to talk about in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
When you get off track, then what do you do? Because
Yeah.
it does happen. I mean, shiny bauble syndrome or an opportunity presents itself that really is stretching you beyond where you're really ready for.
Yeah.
Saying no, oh my goodness.
All of those things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. So we've just spent half an hour, Jeff, talking about who has your back as your business grows. And that's really important information to know, who you need to have in that space in your life. And next week, we'll be back.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Same time, same channel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have a great week, Jeff. We'll see you soon.
You too. See ya.